Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Couch Co-op. I am here with my buddy Cruz again,
Howdy.
and we've had an interesting week. We've argued a little bit, we've talked a lot about some things, and a lot's happening in the news right now, especially with Xbox and its acquisition of Blizzard slash Activision slash, I forgot the other company, but
King, it's the mobile division that makes Candy Crush and stuff.
there you go. Now that is a really big thing going on right now, and it's just full of drama, debacle, even some, corporate,
It's
image assassination, I guess.
dude, it's full of like childhood console wars bullshit.
That's what it feels like, especially like with how much Sony's putting down on how much they don't want it to happen, which is weird because they've been pretty lenient with, Sony as far as exclusives go. But we'll get into that more. Let's just jump into it. First things first, your thoughts on this generation right now, first between Sony and Xbox, of course.
So that we're in a post Summer Game Fest, not E3, whatever the hell you want to call it, and I think come Starfield's release, that'll be Xbox's first official foot in the door of this generation, because they haven't had a chance to really show off what a real good exclusive from them would be like. Sony's had their foot in the door since, I will give them since Miles Morales and Demon Souls remake.
Yeah.
But after that, they just for them it's not like they haven't missed a step. So overall, between the two, and you can't, it doesn't help. It feels like this generation just started really fucking late. I know I just gave Sony props, but you had those situations where a lot of people at home couldn't even get their hands on systems due to scalpers during the pandemic. The games are out, but people couldn't buy the systems, and now, everything that they announced since that last PlayStation showcase, not the one, not this one, but way back when they showed off Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, all that stuff, everything's pretty much out now. We're at this point, we're just missing Wolverine, and whatever the hell's going on with Last of Us 2's multiplayer, but that's
a whole other issue right there.
Pretty much, but as a whole, I think this generation is fine with a big ass asterisk right there, because dude, this is it just feels like it should have been delayed. What the fuck's going on? We got a lot of third party stuff that's still not doing what the systems are advertised to do of 60 FPS 40 40K, I mean 4K. It's like, dude, what the fuck is going on? I'm stumbling over my words just because of how everything that was advertised on these boxes isn't meeting up to standards.
That is true, especially with games like Redfall, and even Starfield a little bit. I get why Starfield's doing it, but 30 frames a second, come on, these machines should be able to at least do 60.
Even Final Fantasy 16, people are leaving it in the quality mode and dealing with the 30 FPS, because if you put it in performance mode, while it does boost the frame rate, it has a lot of weird dips and hitches where it'll go from 60 to 45 to 60 to 30. It just weird, and because they just rather have it consistent. So I think in Starfield's case, that's a good call. If we have something like Final Fantasy 16 still all over the place with the performance mode, but still it's none of these systems are doing what is advertised on the box of a current generation does 60 FPS 4K. And what was the point of rushing these things out then, guys?
Yeah, because even there were some rumors too that even some PlayStation 5s are getting ruined because of Final Fantasy 16's performance modes.
Oof.
Which is weird to think that a game could do that. But yeah, it's weird that we're in this generation now where we still have to worry about frame rate and resolution. There's not just a minimum standard, which isn't 60. Being 30 frames per second, having this expensive machine is kind of like a kick in the face a little bit. But I mean, I kind of get it. The only game I can really give credit to is Starfield, just because of how big they talk about how
the scale
of the game is. I don't know why I stumbled over that, but yeah, the scale of the game is so big, it kind of makes sense why they're doing that. But at the same time, it's you've had years to work on this. I don't want to see this problem every time you just haven't. I don't want a game being a big open world game to be the excuse to slack on performance.
It's just to me, I never grew up seeing. I grew up, and I still rarely get to see the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS stuff.
Oh, it's there.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it. I never doubt people thinking or making this stuff up. There's some games. Sometimes I do see it, but it's just rare for me, and I'm just so accustomed to I just been used to that. It doesn't bother me. That's me. I'm just the one in a million who doesn't care about that. But I do understand somebody who dropped $100,000 on these systems and not getting what they're paid for.
Yeah,
that is definitely unfair for the people who expected better of both these companies.
Oh heck yeah! And with how things are going right now, I just feel like, because we're 3 years in on this generation, and we're almost at the halfway point for the most part, and we still haven't really seen anything, aside from some, a few games here and there, like Final Fantasy VII, of course, remake. They've been doing really great. Horizon was doing really good too. As far as PlayStation goes, Xbox, we're still, seeing where everything's going with that. But they're in the works with stuff. But I haven't seen anything that's like really just been like, oh shit, like that's great. The PS5 can do that. Haven't hit that wow moment. With PS4, it was just like how great the games look and how fast those load times were. But with PlayStation 5 and Series S and X, it's kind of just like lackluster right now. And I get the pandemic happened and stuff like that, and people are still catching their breath in companies and whatnot. But it's been a while since that's happened too. So I just feel like we should be seeing more. I'm especially with the direction PlayStation is going right now versus how Xbox is. It's crazy. I think right now this generation is really showing where the leaders of each individual company is deciding to take the those two brands.
Yes.
With Xbox, being more game friendly and actually putting down on exclusives, while PlayStation is moving forward from the single player story structured games that they've been making for a long time now to going to these live service games. Granted it works, but of course it's a big concern for those who like the single player stuff. That stayed with Sony for that, mind you. And and so far I don't really see anyone getting it right besides Destiny 2. That's the only one who's really been consistent with it, and even then they've been slipping up. But that will be an episode for another day. But yeah, that's where I'm at with the console generation right now. But aside from that, Xbox has been making some big waves lately in the last couple of days with this whole FTC case. A lot of stuff was said.
This shit has been going on for a year, dude, and we just want it to end. I'm tired of hearing it in the news. I get it. It's the big deal. And the only reason things like this have been happening is because, just from what I understand, the FTC and all these other people are trying to stop it because they didn't think it was that big of a deal when Microsoft bought ZeniMax, Bethesda's parent company. And now they're like, okay, we let them get away with too much. We got to step in and show them our power. It's like, right. Why? Why now? You could have stepped in sooner, but you're choosing this one. It's the worst one to step in for because a lot of the proposals and things going on from Microsoft side in this case just seem like, yeah, this is no brainer. Just let them in. Even the judge is pointing out to Sony's lawyers like, yo, this is just kind of stupid. Just let them do it. Yeah. And it's even come out that it was originally just because of Call of Duty, but then it's because of the cloud gaming services. That's there's just excuse after excuse after excuse, just delaying the inevitable. Just let it happen.
But I kind of get it from Sony's point of view, to a certain degree. I get why they're so kind of against it in a sense, or at least they want it to be secured, which Microsoft has been more than cordial with, doing and telling everybody that. They happened for a while, but when you start to see the numbers that Microsoft was telling them, how much it would take away, for example, right now, if Call of Duty was to only be Xbox exclusive, that would literally eliminate 100 million players, I think, at the minimum.
Nah.
Yeah, that's how many people are playing Call of Duty right now. It's so bad that even the statistics for PlayStation, they put out how many people actually play Call of Duty. Half, more than a good amount of people, I think,
at least a million. So I know
at least a million buy a PS4 or PS5
just for Call of Duty.
Just play Call of Duty, and that's just it. And they said Call of Duty made $800 million on literally just PlayStation alone. Just the U.S. No one else, no other country at all.
Oh yeah,
just the
and
US.
that's all because of the microtransactions stuff.
Yeah,
games on
that's buying the game, season pass, and all that. But that's so much money. It wouldn't even make sense for them to make that exclusive because that's 800 million lost.
Oh yeah, no. I thought you were taking this in different. No. Yeah,
no.
It is that is a lot for Microsoft. To why wouldn't I just keep this on your system and make more money that way than trying to lose players? I'd rather just keep it everywhere and
right. Which they plan to do, by the way.
Yeah, and they even plan to bring it to other platforms like Steam again and
Switch.
Nintendo. Yeah, right. It's
the Switch. I was like, wow, that's gonna be weird to see Call of Duty on Switch. Granted, that should boost Switch sales more than it already has. That alone, but it just goes to show that that's how much power Call of Duty has in the gaming market right now because it's so popular. At first, for a while, I didn't think anything was gonna pass Fortnite because when Fortnite came around, it was this big, explosion of you got to play this. But
I think it's more Call of Duty is the more popular paid game service because you remember Fortnite, no matter what, is still free.
Yeah.
So I think as a paid, still $60 entry ticket for at least a campaign,
Yeah.
it's still the most expensive or like the most profitable one out there.
Oh, heck
for
yeah.
like a yearly, bi-yearly release, whatever you want to call it.
Especially like with Fortnite and like Apex themselves, they've gone to the point where it's just kind of like it's just a comedic joke at this point. Not to say that it's a bad game or anything, but it's just, the only thing keeping Fortnite really alive is just, skins and, collabs and stuff like that. Like I've seen every character. When you see Darth Vader fucking fighting Naruto, it's like, okay,
Yeah, they got that advertising money. They're set.
Yeah, they're done. They're just adding stuff for fun at this point. But, it's just Call of Duty's just so big, it's ridiculous. But granted, I see why Sony though is a little scared of this because they've even said it. They have the money to just rob them like blind if they really wanted to. And Sony, is successful as they are and as deep as their pockets can be, it's only so much compared to a computer company which nearly half the world runs. So
yeah, and I get it. And then you have like arguments too where Microsoft, they only win as far as they are because they've actually proven in court that Sony has made a lot of deals behind the scenes to make certain third-party games exclusive to their systems outright, or even have the exclusive marketing rights. And it's like
that's been their tactic for years. And even with Call of Duty and Destiny, stuff always came first to PlayStation, then a year later Xbox, and even Starfield was supposed to be a PlayStation exclusive until they got bought up.
That Microsoft said they just had enough of all these games not getting getting a fair treatment. And I think Phil Spencer himself once said, if not Phil, somebody else from Xbox said that they don't care about exclusives, but because of how hard Sony is, well, we got to fight back too.
Yeah. And like I said, it makes sense for Sony to a degree, but enough to the point where Microsoft has to do what they're doing now. It's kind of crazy because it's like, damn, you guys are like, I get exclusive of what kind of keeps Sony alive, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't. It's more of a platform thing, but it's wild to see that they have to kind of force their hand in order to make a difference in their sales, even with them being so big. Game Pass is, I'm sure, not making them any money, but it's such a good service. It's like, damn, now we can't stop because if we do, people are going to complain so much. It'd probably ruin us to a degree.
I agree, because why would you take away stuff that you're giving people for like not for free, but in this like subscription, man? Like
right. And then I think that's where Sony's business plan is starting to really bite them because it's like now they're like, damn, we can't buy a cool studio, make a great game, and then just come out on top. We have to do extra stuff, which we've been complaining about for years now that they should be doing. And that little cloud console is a perfect example of it. I play with cloud gaming for a while now. Here and there at my my cousin's studio. And it works perfectly fine. Like, yeah, it's noticeable for sure, but it gets the job done when you want to play a quick game or something. And our tech is starting to get there where cloud gaming is starting to actually be almost viable.
Okay. I think right now Sony, this whole time they've wasted their money in this court proceeding. They have to do their best to fight back to make sure that they don't take the big old mean Xbox and have them take their Call of Duty away. But it's like, dude, that money you've spent in this fucking court case, you've got to have like a trillion different competitor ideas in like the dark producing room right now.
Yeah, they're truly wasting resources right now. But let me ask you this though: what are your thoughts if they actually win this case and end up with Bethesda, Blizzard, ZeniMax?
Like all the big names. I'm gonna say this now. I know it's like, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I think it's fine. Yeah, it's considered a monopoly, whatever. Not really. When Xbox already said themselves they're planning to put this on everything. They're not going to make it an exclusive. Do I see them having exclusive marketing deals? Like,
which game in particular though?
Like, okay, starting with Call of Duty. I see them putting Call of Duty on everything. Like they said,
that makes sense.
Contract. They don't want to lose money. They want to get more money. So let's put it on everything, even on competitor systems and all that. Fuck it. I could watch them put on like that Luna Amazon streaming thing for fun. It'd be stupid, but I can see them doing it just to like maximize profits.
Right.
I think like platformers like the Crash series, Spyro series, or even the Tony Hawk series, I think those will still remain multi-platform. I can see like Microsoft getting like a couple extra exclusive skins for their versions of the game. But outside of that, it's just a skin. If everybody's still getting the same game, it's still fine. Obviously, like whatever Nintendo's hardware now or later, it's going to be a downgraded version, but everybody will still be getting the same base game like they have been with the Crash trilogy, the Spyro trilogy, and Crash 4. Whether or not you get like very specific Activision exclusive, it's like, that's the thing. How many Activision exclusive actually are there? Like,
I think as many, if it's under contract, if they're not under contract, it can be as many as they want it to be.
But like, really think about, like, everybody's like, we're like, it's gonna take all their properties and this and that. But like,
they just might, because the deal was originally, before they even bought the thing, is that Sony contracted, they paid to contract certain things exclusively, which were the titles that were either multi-platform or just timed exclusives. And then, but if those contracts end up being up, which from what I've heard, is pretty soon for a lot of those titles and stuff. Like for example, Starfield's exclusive, Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive. Like they're not putting it on.
Oh yeah, no,
PlayStation.
but that's that's because they already own ZeniMax, all that shit, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about like right now, they're not trying to make those titles exclusive. From at the moment, we're hearing that we're gonna get this big marketing push that you're gonna see Call of Duty, and you're gonna think of the Xbox logo, but that doesn't mean it's exclusive to Xbox. It just means
that's just their advertisement.
Yeah, that's all it is, and. I mean, how diehard? Remember, back in the 360 days, that's what it was. It was Xbox and Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But remember how much Sony had to fight back using their exclusives? Now, though, they've been writing. Now, once the PS4 era entered, that was them riding that Call of Duty train and realizing, we don't do as much work now.
Right.
I think Sony just needs to realize, like shit like this happens. You get off your ass and start actually doing, putting in more output. Closing down PlayStation Studios Japan and all that stuff was probably a bad move on them. But that's something else. Staying focused on right now. I think this is a good thing. I want them to. I think what just Microsoft pushed, this can help get a lot of other. Let's just get that out there. I want this to happen because I think this will be good for everything. Maybe they can get running like something like Diablo 4 on the Switch successor. They can get Call of Duty on the Switch successor because it's just more money for everybody and no exclusive. Hell, maybe they can even help push for crossplay on everything like that too.
Mm-hmm.
They already got crossplay on Diablo 4 right now. Adding the fourth pillar with the Nintendo family would make more sense.
Yeah, I can imagine Xbox getting just so big that they just literally say, you know what, we're done with exclusives. We're just going to put it on everything. And they just allow Sony to take their games and then make whatever little cash they can from it. But, I mean, either way, they're going to be feeding their pockets to some degree.
And I think just having this marketing deal will help them support stuff like Game Pass. Because if we're saying, we're questioning if this is even like a profit for them. I think having like either like timed exclusive DLC or whatever attached to Game Pass games like this,
right?
I think it would help them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Show people why it's worth having this service over the PlayStation's over. It makes more sense to me. Like I don't see this why not being a thing.
Yeah, my thing is with the Game Pass is like, is it gonna get is Xbox gonna buy so many studios? Because originally it was supposed to be 100, but now it's just 8. But is it going to get so big that we're just going to see just all their bangers just on Game Pass, and we just won't even have to buy $60 games?
It depends. It's hard to say because that's right now. There's still like, let's give an example. There's third-party games that are still coming to both, and there are some that are still coming to Game Pass day one. They're still coming. You still got the ones that are coming to like the few that still hit on everything, like PlayStation and Switch. People still go out of their ways to buy those like full-price versions of games. Some people use Game Pass as like a way, like, oh, I'm gonna play this as a demo. They like it, and they go get the other one as like just to collect it or support the team.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then that starts falling under like the whole physical versus digital thing, and it's like, damn, it's like I like this game. It's on Game Pass, but I want a physical copy. Nah, I gotta go buy $60 for it. Well, I guess having that avenue is cool, but at the same time, it's just like most players are going to be like, yeah, I just played it on Game Pass. I don't really need to do anything else for it.
I don't know. It just really depends on the future that goes from here. But
yeah,
as a whole, this acquisition is like a really good positive to my idea and eyes going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any real negative repercussions from this outside of them actually end up being a really bad monopoly.
Yeah,
but
I think Sony's more than resourceful enough to do their own thing. They really what they would need to do is just crack down on all the studios they really want. Like I think they tried to get I think they tried to get Square Enix. Xbox did, and then but if I was Sony, I would literally go for Atlas. All the really hard hitting studios that really matter to them that they already don't own, mind you.
I think they would have been doing that if we were still in a different era of who's in charge, because who's in charge right now does not care about those studios.
Yeah, PlayStation's like whole momentum shift they're doing right now, or they're considering at least. We won't put anything concrete out there. Of course, we're not experts, but from what we've been hearing on the news, and then all the little rumors and tidbits, they're planning to move to live service games, and that's insane considering 5 years ago when God of War was like their best selling game at the time. What the hell? Like that's a shift right there. That's like literally going back. It's like Nintendo making like just the most casual games ever, rather than doing what they love. Like no more Mario, no more
pretty much
Princess Peach or anything like that. It's just straight hey, shoot the cool gun 17 or some shit like that. But again, a topic for another episode. But yeah, so what do you think the repercussions would be if they lost? You know, they couldn't they couldn't have the deal go through.
They would probably take a while to like lick their wounds, because remember when the UK blocked the acquisition, and a lot of Xbox fans in general were like, it's all doom and gloom for them, you know, this and that. If they lose, this is going to be the biggest waste of time anybody's ever experienced.
Oh yeah.
If they were really hardcore focusing on this.
I know whatever CEO was trying to get that deal going was so pissed if that's the case.
Yeah.
I would be too. It's a lot of money.
That's going to be the biggest repercussion, is that their fan base is going to be really fucking pissed. It's just going to be a lot of negativity for a long time. And if they do lose, and I will agree with some of them, at that point, you should, you know, pick up the pace. You got to release those games that you had shown off to everybody before. Granted, their last presentation, solid, good banger, especially for if you want to put on like a grading scale towards Xbox.
Right.
It was a really banger show. So,
right. Yeah, I wonder if PlayStation's petty enough if they did lose, and like, because you know, I'm sure Bethesda and ZeniMax are all in on this deal for them. They're like, oh fuck yeah, we'll take this money. I wonder how bad that would like mess up their relationship with Sony, those other studios too, and then just be like, damn, it's like you try to betray us to go to the other side, but that's just like my petty kid, you know, thought. But
oh yeah, the playground talk.
Yeah, basically, like how would that meeting go? Like, hey, so we're trying to get back on PlayStation since the deal didn't go through, and then Sony's just looking at him like,
I don't think something like, I know that's just like the super fucking worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's just me dreaming, but I'm just, you know, that's got to be an awkward meeting for sure if that failed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you said, lick their wounds. You know,
I think their next step would be pumping out games that they've had that works, or like doing it to like double, triple overtime. Make sure those things come out faster.
Right.
With good quality.
Okay.
Let's put an emphasis on it with good quality. They'll just rush it out and have it be another Redfall.
Right.
I honestly think that another thing they could do would probably be go for another quicker, safer acquisition. I don't know of what. I don't know of who, because anybody's on the table.
Yeah.
If you're telling me who can Xbox go buy.
Anyone.
But I think, yeah, that's just... You wouldn't think just them like, oh, losing money out of this acquisition and then going back. Like, no, we saw what happened when just the British denied them. And just like how pissed and angry and salty everybody was on the internet from that. So now with this, if they lose here, it's like, oof. It's just the backlash is gonna be hard.
Yeah, it would definitely suck. I can just imagine them though, just like going and like literally, like, okay, look, give us Elder Scrolls 6 and, you know, this exclusive. We'll pay whatever you want for it, and then bam, take that PlayStation. And then, you know, they just go making their games and go buy another studio, probably smaller for a lot less money. Yeah, I haven't seen a deal this big since the Mojang thing.
Oh, when they bought Minecraft?
Yeah, that was a lot of cash. But they didn't give nearly any, you know, repercussions for that at all. It was just Minecraft at the time, even though Minecraft is super huge still. But yeah, it'd be super weird, awkward, definitely for the studios, I'm sure. And, you know, I'm sure Sony would love it, you know, for them to lose that, because that's gives them more breathing room. Granted, more than they already have. But yeah, they would definitely need to step it up as far as that goes. But, you know,
so something I wanted to bring up too is like the tidbits we've heard, like was how, you know, they don't want, Sony's thing is that they don't want this to happen, right? Because they're afraid that, like, outside of losing exclusivity shit, blah blah blah, they're thinking, oh well, what if Microsoft makes Call of Duty and they give us a really shitty version of it? Like, that is the stupidest argument I've heard from that, because like, they're promising it to keep it on your platform. They're not going to tamper with it.
I feel like there's laws to keep that from happening, though.
There should be, and if there's not, it's still dumb of them to do it. Like, why would you purposely do that? That you're owning that product now, so if you gave them a shitty version on purpose, you're just hurting your own sales. There's no reason for Sony to think they wouldn't do that. And they use an example, like, look at Redfall. Look what happened with Redfall. Like,
yeah,
that's like a 1 in a million kind of, not 1 in a million. That's necessary, but still, it's like,
yeah,
that's like
it's really petty.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, like, nah, we're not that bad. Xbox is way too like rich to even consider that even a factor. Yeah, my thing that got me the most, I was surprised from this, was how Xbox was talking about how they lost the console war, and it didn't start clicking with me until I started kind of seeing it, and it kind of makes sense too.
Yes, when you're like even if you don't count the pandemic as of what happened with them, they're almost halfway through this generation.
Yeah, because as far as Xbox went, they recouped from that way faster than Sony did. But then again, people were pounding for PS5s like crazy. So I mean, it kind of shows you who was in more time at the time anyway. But yeah, I could see why they think they definitely lost. Their numbers say the same thing as well. So
like unless these upcoming exclusives like Avowed, Starfield, fucking Elder Scrolls 6, like I said, or whatever was going on with the Gears of War team, or even that Perfect Dark project, unless these are actually like 100% 10 out of 10 slam dunks, they ain't got to catch up. It's going to be a while.
Oh, yeah, no. Elder Scrolls 6 alone is not even going to be on this generation. They're talking about that's still like 5-6 years away. By the time that happens, PS6 and Xbox Series YX will be a thing at that point. And that'll be a next-gen console game for sure. Because Perfect Dark's in still early stages of development. They just lost one of their heads not too long ago, who was development after like, 2-3 months of being there?
It's insane, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's, like... this whole the fact they even use like that playground where the console wars talk in a fucking big ass courtroom. It's like, this is where we're at.
Right, under oath, mind you.
Yeah, it's like, it makes sense though. Like, you can't deny it. They're not wrong. Is it wrong for them to admit it? No. At least they have the balls to say it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And it just goes to show how much they're trying to, fix themselves and get better. This is why Sony's sweating so hard right now, because they know that Xbox is coming. We've been saying it for years, me and you. We were talking about how much like Xbox is doing stuff. It started with Game Pass. They offer a service that is practically impossible for every other platform to do. Like Nintendo can't put out a fucking Game Pass with all their best titles on there. I won't say all their best, but with the majority of their really decent titles. But that's hard to do. Like, that's next to impossible unless you got Microsoft money. And Microsoft isn't stupid. They know what they need to do, and they've been doing it. And Sony's trying to stop it, of course, as they should, to a certain degree. But I don't know, they're a little bit petty about it, I think. Really,
I 100% agree. This is just really petty, childish stuff, and I can't say they can't at least put up a face to like not showing that they didn't just give up easy. But
right
at this point, we're almost like we're gonna be like a year and a half into this fucking case. I just want this over with, dude.
Heck yeah. As far as whose side you're on though, like who you siding with the most?
Xbox. Just, I ain't gonna lie, the way Sony's heading in their direction, I'm just all in on Xbox.
Yeah,
I feel like this will create competition. Competition is good, and we're gonna see if this wins. The biggest, I didn't get to say it there because I wanted to say, I was waiting for you to ask me that. The best thing we can get from this is we could see what a really good competitive Sony can actually be, and not when they're sitting in the the fucking
winner
lounge
circle.
chair with a wine cup just watching.
Like,
yeah,
Bethesda, huh?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
they gonna get off their asses like, all right,
that's fair. I would like to say I'd be on Sony's side on this, but damn, they were just way too petty on it. I really wanted Sony to be like, okay, you can do that, but get Bethesda, take that. We're gonna fucking just open up a studio. We're gonna bring all the best people. Go get that Kojima guy or something. Have him start leading it, and we'll do a bunch of things and give him all the money you need. And then, but nope, they didn't do that. They just said, yeah, we're gonna jump to live service stuff, and we're gonna try our best at it because
nothing bad happens when you chase a trend that's like 10 years late.
Right. The Naughty Dog is learning that lesson hard right now, I think, and that's why we have not seen any Last of Us multiplayer gameplay at all, which is crazy to me because they perfected that for what it seemed like, a pretty good multiplayer game. I can't imagine what else they would do to it to make it even better.
I don't know, man, but I think we talked last time. You said that the people from Bungie, right? They came in, they saw that multiplayer and said, "This is fucking trash." Right. Basically,
yeah,
like that's me being over dramatic, but like they looked in and was like, "The fuck is this shit?"
Basically, and live service games are hard to balance. Even the god Sony or Bungie have stumbled upon a few hiccups here and there. Some of the DLC was garbage, and I'm a hardcore Destiny fan. I've been playing that game since day one, and yeah, it's been trash. But for the most part, they stuck with it, and they found a formula that worked for them. Granted, their season pass is still fucking ridiculously trash. I've never seen so many blank spots in the free section of a Game Pass, but like I said, I won't complain about it now. That's another video for the time. But yeah, the switch from live service to from single player to live service is definitely not where it should be at. Especially with some of the games that they've been putting out, it didn't give me that vibe. So to hear about that, it's crazy.
I'm guessing they're just throwing all these darts on the board because maybe this is them prepping for if they lose and they want to have something ready to go against Call of Duty, which, we were saying they should be, but maybe this is what they were doing the whole time, getting prepared to in case they lost it. But still, it's like, this is not the way to go.
It's funny because, like, I don't know if as far as I know, Shuhei Yoshida is involved in, the corporate side of, PlayStation anymore. But it's funny since Jim Ryan's come along, it's the vibe of PlayStation as a whole has just changed, and it's starting to become obvious how he sees it, especially with some of his responses to Xbox's moves and whatnot. And it's really weird to see because it's like, damn, it's like I miss the Sony that was PS like mid PS4 era, when they were putting it out, getting games out.
Remember that one dude from their PS3 commercials, like for the games, buy the games or something like that. That blonde dude who would be like those like. I ain't gonna lie. When I saw that dude, I was like, "Yo, they're taking a stand. They're showing what's up." And now it's just all about the money.
And the best thing I ever saw PlayStation do was put that video about how to share your games. Like he just handed, Shuhei just handed it to old boy. He was like, "This is how you share games on PlayStation." And he just handed it. He said, "Thanks." I was like, "Damn, that was a burn, for sure." But yeah, I don't know. I don't know who this new PlayStation is. It's weird. It's bizarre. I'm not too crazy about it. This whole FTC debacle shouldn't even be really happening.
You know what this is, man? Got a good way to sum it up here. We had the PS1, PS2 era. That's the golden era of Sony. Mm-hmm. The silver age was the PS3, PS4. Like, let me rephrase that. Second half of PS3 to PS4.
Right.
This is the bronze dark age of Sony right now. Are they winning financially? Yes. Yeah. Are we seeing them making a bunch of stupid decisions? More yes.
Yeah. And I could tell. I started with all that censorship shit. Like, a few years back, I started seeing that. I was like, how do you censor Tales of Berseria? Like, come on, bro. Ugh. Gross. But, yeah, I mean, let us know your thoughts on it. A lot of stuff is happening. The world is definitely changing when it comes to tech and gaming in general. And, just let us know your thoughts about this and this whole debacle. Do you want to see a Sony, first party or live service Sony again? I don't know why I'm screwing it up. Do you want to see a live service Sony, multiplayer games everywhere, generic game passes here and there? Or do you want to see a Sony that's going to actually fight for what they want to, keep up? They want to win, Sony's not, the company to back down. They have way too much history and great potential to just sit here and be bought by the corporate man. I don't like that last part, but whatever. Mm-hmm. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. And, hey, let us know what you guys think about this stuff because I'm super curious.
Pick a side.
Always.